opportunity to learn even more about the history of the Lakota people and life on the reservation from the speakers our group was able to hear. The first was Kelly Lookinghorse, who took us to the burial site of the Wounded Knee Massacre and told us the story as if he had been there. It struck me how deeply the atrocious event hurt him, even though he wasn't alive when it occurred. He taught us how to properly honor those who rested there in the Lakota way, by spreading tobacco across their graves and saying a prayer to honor their lives. Kelly has become a prominent role model for me based on his extensive care for others and admirable humility he lives by. The second speaker we were able to listen to was Valley, a Lakota artist who specializes in the art of clothing. She taught us how to make beautiful porcupine quill bracelets, beautiful being a subjective word in the case of the bracelet I made, and told stories as she worked. The struggles of Lakota Indians on the reservation were described from her point of view, and I found I learned the most from her unique, beautiful perception of the world. She witnesses life through a pure lens of care, love, and compassion that ought to be applied to the eyes of all mankind. And this wonderful outlook on life doesn't come from the individual motivation that accompanies societal privileges. She cares for others for the sake of others, rather than to make herself feel better about herself. I believe that if everyone possessed the outlook of Valerie, the world would be home to a utopian version of mankind. Another important activity that we participated in on the reservation every day was known as Kids Time. During Kids Time, we set up arts and crafts activities, as well as fun group games at the local park, which happened to be a plot of grass about the size of a garage, with a tree and a bench. We would walk through the town, asking the kids roaming around if they wanted to come play games with us, and then look back towards the park. The little kids were extremely eager for attention and climbed on our backs immediately, but I soon noticed a difference in the perspectives of the older ones. They understood that we were not Lakota people and did not really belong in their culture. It was a tough barrier to break, but we found a little duck gray duck can work miracles in such cases. Even though these young boys and girls had every reason to hate us for having the middle-class lives they are unable to attain, we were able to connect with them in such a way that almost all differences were forgotten. After a week of this time with the Lakota children, I realized that the key to cooperation and interaction over cultural lines is nothing but love. Love is the universal language of the world, as it conveys the same message in every culture: acceptance, belonging, community, faith, and happiness. If everyone were to incorporate just a little love into his or her interactions with all others, the world would be an entirely different place. Not only would the world as a whole be less divided, but our country itself, which is plagued with the conflicted desires of individuals, would also undergo an incredible transformation if love were introduced to the equation. Yes, people are different based on their unique outlooks on life, but this is what makes the world beautiful. And what better a place to spread this truth than the place we worship today? The Word of God, the Word of God's love for mankind. It is not the specifics of it all, but rather the feelings that are invoked in the heart and mind when one is loved by another. We must work together, not just for 2 hours on a Sunday morning, but every minute of our lives towards spreading the word of love to everyone we meet, as well as the nature of which we belong to. Now, it may seem merely an unattainable fantasy to many. This may all just sound like hypothetical mumbo-jumbo. The truth is, a culture of love, compassion, and community lives today and has lived for hundreds of years in spite of attempts to eradicate it. In fact, our youth group spent a week among the very people that belong to this culture. It is a culture subjected to a democracy of which it never approved of and in which it has never had a meaningful say. It holds numerous similarities with cultures across the world, yet it has been ignored and isolated by the country wherein it resides. It sees mankind as belonging to nature rather than being separate from it. It is the Lakota way, and it is very close to being lost. Now, as I wrap up this sermon, which began as a story of our summer trip to South Dakota and was rapidly evolved into an investigation of mankind itself, I encourage you to take what I have said to heart. Remember the Lakota way the next time someone cuts you off in traffic, or begs for money in the street, or limits the rights of another, for cooperation is far superior to competition. Don't think of yourself as a Republican or a Democrat, but rather as a loving member of the world's community. As stated by a Lakota proverb, true peace between nations will only happen when there is true peace within people's souls. H.E.G. Amen.